Welcome back to the Flow Tao Salon. Today, we are looking directly at the April 2026 release of the Xiaohongshu High-End Smartphone Industry Insight Report from Dentsu, China. If you follow consumer electronics, you know the prevailing narrative. The Chinese smartphone market is fully saturated, a zero-sum environment incapable of generating meaningful new wealth. We are witnessing a structural bifurcation. The high-end segment has detached from the stagnant baseline and is now following an independent growth trajectory. First, we will examine the macroeconomic data separating this high-end growth vector from the broader stagnation. Second, we'll map the 70. For consumer hardware brands in China, the next 5 years will be defined by their ability to capture this specific high-value audience, the primary engine for high-margin growth in an otherwise flat market. Let's look at the baseline reality of the broader Chinese smart device market. It has hit a wall. This chart shows the total industry trajectory. The overall market compound annual growth rate has flatlined between 3 and 5%. By 2024, the ceiling for overall volume capped out at approximately 300 million total units. But within that stagnant aggregate, the high-end hardware subset tells a completely different story. The premium sector is locked in a compounding hypergrowth cycle, accelerating at a 19% compound annual growth rate. In 2020, premium devices moved 41.44 million units. By 2024, it hit 84 million. In a tight 4-year window, the total market share captured by high-end phones doubled. The era of broad volume-driven market expansion has ended. Captural premium value is now the primary lever for maintaining hardware profitability. Moving into this highly profitable premium space, we need to map the competitive density. This hypergrowth has not resulted in a fragmented gold rush. It has hardened into a consolidated oligopoly. This chart illustrates the dominance clearly. Apple, Huawei, and Xiaomi command over 70% of the premium market share. This consolidation sets up a massive collision of hardware releases throughout 2025. We are tracking imminent releases of the Huawei Pura 80, iPhone 17, and Xiaomi 17 in Q3, directly followed by the Huawei Mate 80 in Q4. To understand who absorbs this concentrated hardware output, we have to look at the demographic profile of the buyers. The baseline premium buyer is a highly educated, affluent urbanite. The data shows that over 65% hold a bachelor's degree or higher, and over 50% reside in Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities. However, the critical secondary growth vector lies outside these major metropolitan hubs. Demographics in Tier 3 cities and below are the fastest growing segment, expanding at a 12% annual rate. While urban elites provide the revenue foundation, the strategic battleground for capturing net new premium market share lies entirely in these rapidly accelerating lower-tier markets. This brings us to the underlying consumer psychology. Why do these specific users stay with their chosen brand, and what would it take to make them switch? The Dentsu report identifies a dual-layer lock-in as the primary driver of high-end purchasing habits. The first layer is systemic OS ecosystem inertia. This is the deep technical integration into either iOS or Harmony OS. This lock-in binds users to proprietary software workflows, deeply archived cloud storage, and an interconnected web of smart home devices. The second layer is psychological and emotional brand identity. Daily habitual usage stacks with personal status projection, creating a rigid emotional loyalty operating independently of the hardware itself. These interlocking rings create immense switching costs. Abandoning a brand means abandoning a highly curated digital lifestyle. Competing brands cannot rely on offering marginally better camera megapixels or an extra hour of battery life to trigger a defection. The primary asset of a premium brand is the ecosystem, an emotionally resonant digital environment that anchors the user far more effectively than the physical hardware. If we synthesize the raw data from Dentsu China, 3 actionable industry findings emerge. First, volume is replaced by value. Market expansion is over. Premium is the only growth engine. Second, the hardware ecosystem model. The 70% oligopoly relies on OS inertia, not incremental upgrades. Third, demographic expansion. Future battles must target the 12% growth in Tier 3. This structural bifurcation will dictate consumer tech investments in China for the remainder of the decade. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Flow Tao Salon, wishing you a prosperous year of the horse. 桃这沙龙，马年兴隆。